If you don't buy a ticket, you definitely won't win this raffle. We're not talking about your mate's cousin's Xbox on Facebook, but rather Lamborghinis and huge cash prizes. But how does this business model work? And is it all legal? In this video, we'll explore the three-part strategy they're using to generate millions, all while utilizing a loophole that's been around for decades. Part 1. A game of skill. Remember when you'd be listening to the radio or watching TV, and they'd be running a competition for concert tickets, holidays, and cash prizes, but there would always be a catch. This is the loophole raffle companies are using to avoid their business being classed as gambling. Now, to the naked eye, you buy a ticket to a raffle, you're gambling the cost of that ticket to try and win a prize worth more than the ticket cost. Your odds are the amount of tickets sold divided by the amount of tickets you bought. The competition businesses have the same gambling components, but use a technicality to avoid being classed as gambling. Back to those TV competitions. Remember how you'd always have to answer a general knowledge question, but the question was stupidly easy. It just didn't make sense. Why would they make it so simple? Well, they didn't actually care about the question. Their goal was to just get as many people to enter as possible, and it's exactly the same system for those car raffles. You see, the reason there are so many of them popping up is because they're able to avoid the giant barrier of getting a gambling license. By having you answer a question, there is now an element of skill involved in the competition. They can now say the opportunity to win is based on the person's skill to answer the question, rather than the odds of the competition. According to the law under the Gambling Act 2005, a genuine prize competition is run in a way that the organisers believe that the requirement for skill, knowledge, or judgment will either deter a significant proportion of those who wish to enter from doing so, or prevent a significant proportion of those who do enter from winning a prize. A UK company called BOTB have a game called Spot the Ball, where a ball is photoshopped out of an image and the player has to try and select where they think the centre of the ball is to the exact pixel.
It's the way that BOTB competitions work. Let's just take the dream car competition, which is kind of the big daddy of them. You know, there's cars to the value of like nearly 200 grand in this competition, which is just insane that we get to give away prizes like that. Everyone enters for the car that they want to win. There's about 150 odd on the website. You pick which car you want to win. I'll pick which car I want to win. And then everyone plays the same spot the ball competition. And I love Spot the Ball because it reminds me of like my granddad doing it back in the paper, like where you draw your little cross in the paper and stuff. It's fun. And each week you just try and improve on what you were previously. Everyone picks where they want to win. And at the end of the week, whoever's the closest to the winning coordinates wins whatever car they played for. So let's just say I played for, I don't know, a Volkswagen Up, which is obviously not that expensive, but the ticket price would be cheap as anything. You play for a Lamborghini Urus. Of course, that ticket price is a little bit more expensive than my Up ticket.
Why do they do this? Well, essentially, everyone is competing with the same odds, which is the number of pixels on the image divided by the person's attempts at finding the center. Of course, the amount of people playing also plays a factor in your odds, but they don't reveal the number of entries. Why not just do the same as the other companies? Well, first of all, skill-based challenges can increase the perceived fairness of the competition, as participants believe they have a better chance of winning if they apply skill and judgment. If they think they got really close last time, surely they'll get even closer next time. By using psychology like this, their customer retention will be much greater than a random draw. Keeping customers you have is much easier than tempting new customers, but more on that later. They're also making the number of people entering seem less important to the player, so they don't need to put a limit on ticket sales. In fact, there's no way to work out your odds for this type of competition on their site.
A lot of people ask me, what are the odds on winning BOTB? It is literally impossible because to work out the odds, like it doesn't really matter how many people enter, because let's just say you've got your picture and you think the ball is above this dude's head. Let's say every single other person that enters thinks it's over on the other side of the picture. If all the judges go, well, we think it's above the guy's head, you've got a 1 in 1 chance of winning.
Part 2. Marketing and social proof. Imagine this. It's 2004. You're walking through your local shopping centre or exploring the airport before your flight. In the distance, you see a bright yellow supercar parked inside. First question, how did it get there? And more importantly, who impulse buys a brand new car in an airport? Of course, this was the marketing of these companies before the days of social media. A huge banner stating something like, win this car for a couple of quid. The same system they use now, but I'm sure the conversion rate was much lower back then. People have always hated being approached by a salesman with a clipboard, whether it's now or 20 years ago. Your kid begs for a picture beside the car. Sure, it's not every day you see a brand new Ferrari. Then, the salesman says you could win this car for the spare change in your pocket. It seems too good to be true, but surely a national airport wouldn't allow a scam to operate on its grounds. You're still skeptical and losing interest, which is when they show you some pictures of winners next to their cars from previous competitions. This is called social proof. Seeing real people win tangible prizes encourages others to participate. Of course, in 2024, this type of marketing is literally perfect for social media. In most cases, the company asks the player to enter the details of a secret contact on sign-up. So if they were to win, they can contact their partner, for example, find out where they work, and turn up with the car completely out of the blue.
So we ask players to put down like a surprise contact. So 9 times out of 10, they'll have like, oh, phone my wife, phone my husband, phone my son, daughter, whatever, and I'll phone them. That's always a bit of an interesting conversation to have because you basically cold call this person. You go, hi, your husband's won a Lamborghini Urus, and they're like, oh, give over, like whatever. Never heard of BOTB. Like half the time they've never heard, and their partner's playing.
It will be pretty difficult to fake the reactions, especially when these giveaways are happening multiple times a week. Showcasing the winners receiving their prize builds credibility and excitement for the current and new customers. If they can win, why can't I? He's a builder just like me. Surely I've got just as much skill to win. He lives in the same town as me. I wonder if anyone knows him. It all feels a lot more tangible when it's happening so often to your average Joe, who seems no different from yourself. It doesn't take a genius to market a well-known sports car, but building trust, that's the hard part. Part 3. The Dream Factor. These competitions offer a chance to achieve dreams that might otherwise be out of reach. The idea of getting rich quickly has always been appealing to the general public. But what if a player doesn't really want or need a car? Most companies offer cash alternatives of similar value to the prize they've won. Plus, it's not only vehicles in the raffle. There are watches, holidays, tech, cash, and much more. Variety in prizes appeals to a much wider audience. Not interested in a car? How about that dream holiday to Hawaii you've always wanted to go on? The prizes are so aspirational, perceived at such a low cost, the decision feels a lot more rational and makes it harder for people to say no. Many people have an optimism bias, a cognitive bias that leads them to believe they are more likely to experience positive outcomes than others. This makes them think they have a better chance of winning than is statistically probable. Once individuals have invested money into a raffle, they may continue to participate to justify their initial expenditure, even if the chances of winning remain low. This is called the sunk cost fallacy. Anticipation of a potential reward triggers dopamine release in the brain, which is associated with pleasure and motivation. This neurochemical response reinforces the behavior, making people more likely to enter raffles repeatedly. The elephant in the room is how ethical these companies are, since it's basically gambling hidden in plain sight. Some have stupidly high spending limits for customers, and in most cases are just limits for each individual competition rather than a daily or monthly cap. A study by Jumbo Interactive found customers spent $653 million entering paid entry prize draws and competitions in 2021, and a shocking $117 million of this was spent using credit cards. The use of credit cards for gambling has been banned in the UK since 2020, but of course, this isn't classed as gambling. Most of these websites also have a section called Instant Wins, where the winning tickets have already been drawn. As soon as you check out for your ticket, you can find out if you've won or not, leaving the customer constantly looking for that dopamine rush every time they play and don't win. A somewhat similar system to scratch cards. But if you can look past that and strictly look at it from a business perspective, they found a loophole in the law that's been abused by television and radios for decades and are building huge businesses off the back of it. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to check out some of our other business breakdowns on the channel. Thanks for watching.